Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lynette Elliott, and you have joined us for our November 21st Gravity Project meeting. Today we are going to go over the consensus voting process, but as most of you who have been on these calls before know, we have a few administrative items to go through before we kick off. So if you want to go to the next slide. You have entered on mute because we do record these calls, and when we open up for discussion, you are more than welcome to unmute yourself. You can either click on the microphone icon that's next to your name in the attendance list, or you can do *66 on your device if you are called in. And if during that time or before that time you want to pose comments or questions, and we've had some very lively discussions via chat lately, if you want to provide input during the discussion, you can use your chat feature, and please send it to everyone because we have many experts on these calls, and there are probably other people besides myself, the host, and the EMI team who can answer your questions. Next slide, please. If you have not already done so, and this will be pertinent to all of you during this call, if you have not already joined the project as an other interested party or as a committed member, please do so. You can do that on our Gravity Confluence. There is a join page, and that puts you on our email distribution list. And today what you will learn is that if you are a committed member, you can vote on the food insecurity master list that we have all been working so hard on these past few weeks. Next slide, please. Like I said earlier, today we will go through the consensus voting process. It's not complicated, but we just want to make sure that you are all armed with the information that you need so that you can all submit your votes. Next slide, please. Today we are here on the 21st. You will notice that next week there is no meeting because of the Thanksgiving holiday. On December 5th, there will be no meeting because we will be internally reconciling all of your consensus votes and comments. And then we will present those back to you on the 12th of December, and that is our last meeting in 2019. Next slide, please. Consensus voting. Next slide, please. Consensus typically relies on an open process where everyone is considered equal and communication goes both ways, so that no one has unfair weight or there's not an imbalance of anybody's opinion. And when we open consensus voting, it's a way for us to get feedback from all of you so that if there are objections to what we're trying to agree upon, we can have the time and take the opportunity to directly address those and to somehow reconcile the objections so that we come to a fair agreement for everyone involved. Next slide, please. Why it's important for this particular project is that Gravity, as you know, is an HL7 Fire Accelerator Program project. And HL7 has a very good set of operating procedures that requires consensus and openness and that balance of interest that I just mentioned. And that allows a community of experts like all of you who have disparate backgrounds and different types of expertise to come together and reach mutual agreement. Sometimes it's not perfect. We don't want to impede progress for the sake of perfection. But the idea is that we can all come to an agreement on what we are looking at currently as a means of moving forward. So the consensus on the food insecurity master list will allow us to move forward with other domain work. We'll use that as a jumping off point because some of the processes that we've learned so far can be repurposed. The adjudication that we've gone through so far can be repurposed, and the structure of the master list can most likely be repurposed. So that will, as this says, set the stage for review and approval of other types of social determinants of health data elements besides the food insecurity ones that we've been looking at. Also, these data elements that we agree on at this point, like I said, this is not going to be the final set. This is a set that we can use to move forward with the Fire IG work and test what you've already identified as being important so that we can say more salt, less pepper, here are the things that we need codes for, here are the things that need to be grouped. This one works, this one doesn't, this one's useful, this one's not. but it's a jumping off point for us to be able to move forward with that fire IG development and testing. Things will always change in the future as they are tested. So that's why we're asking all of you to participate in the upcoming Connect-a-thons as well. Next slide, please. Consensus voting is open as of now, and you can vote through December 5th. We will send out an email to all committed members with the direct link to the consensus voting page. And other interested parties or unregistered members can go to Confluence and you can update your member status to committed member if you would like to vote. If you're not interested in voting at all, you can simply track the progress of the project like you probably have been in the past. We post everything on Confluence so that it's publicly available to everyone. And I think Evelyn just posted a link to that voting page. We have 4 different types of votes. A yes, which is I agree, we can move forward with this. Yes with comments means I agree, you might have additional input or things that you want us to consider. A formal objection that says I do not agree and these are the reasons and this is how I think you should reconcile. Yes with comments and formal objection, like you see here, both require comments. And the form on Confluence is programmed so that it demands comments from you if you pick either of those votes. If you do not feel prepared to vote, you can cast an abstention. If you are a committed member, we do ask that you vote because we are going to need 51% of you to submit votes, at least. We'd like more than that, but 51% is a quorum, and that will be, at this time, 117 of you. If you do not wish to vote, if you have not had the bandwidth to track things, if you are unsure about the master list or what's in it, if you simply don't want to participate on that level, please do go ahead and submit an abstain vote. We do count those. They are part of the quorum. It's very important that all of you go ahead and submit some kind of vote. And if you have not voted by December 5th, you will receive an email from us saying, please, oh please, would you submit your vote so that we can count all the votes and all the comments that come in. Next slide, please. These are instructions. The consensus voting page on Confluence has the master list, a link to the master list. It also has a link to the summary documents that you've been looking at for the past several weeks. You can use those for reference, but we are asking all of you to vote on the master list itself. So when you're referencing if you submit comments of any kind with your vote, please include the ID of whatever data concept you are referring to, as well as which clinical activity it relates to, whether it's goals, interventions, diagnoses, screening, and your comments. And then click the submit button to actually submit your vote. I know sometimes I get really ambitious and I fill out the form and then I just think magically it's going to go somewhere, and that's not the way it works. Have to click that blue submit button and it will come to us and we can consolidate all of your comments and votes. And then, like I said before, we will be sharing all of those results, comments, and dispositions to anything that was commented on December 12th when you all come back from your Thanksgiving holiday and before we let you free for the rest of the year. Next slide, please. If you have questions about consensus voting, we have a page on Confluence about the consensus process itself, what this is, how it works, why we do it. If you want to check your membership status, you can go to the join page and check that. Everyone who has joined as a member is listed, and you can sort that list by organization, by name, or by member status. And if you have any specific questions, like you want your membership status changed, or you have questions about the process or something that you've heard on this call, you can always email us. And I believe at this time we can open up for any questions or comments that any of you have.
You can also submit your comments via the chat.
Yes.
If you are on mute.
Yes, like I said, this process is not complicated. It's just a matter of knowing where to go and knowing how to vote.
Did.
Okay.
So Jennifer just sent a comment. Is the Gravity Project planning on having a track on these 2 upcoming Connect-a-thons, Da Vinci and the CMS Connect-a-thon? I can answer that as well, and then I'll ask Lisa to chime in, because I think we have that as our next steps for our upcoming Connect-a-thons, but we do not have a track at the upcoming Da Vinci. It was too short of a time frame, given that we've just opened up for voting, so we would need to have at least a consensus approved data set for testing. So Da Vinci was too soon, and the same would be for the CMS one. And Lisa, do you want to talk about Connect-a-thon testing plans?
Yeah, I would say that there's a little bit of conversation about some, I'll call sort of dabbling testing. There are at least conversations that may take place in Sydney, but nothing significant. And the first major Connect-a-thon to be planning for is May in San Antonio. I just was writing down, we'll probably send out a communication to those folks who have indicated their interest on the Gravity Confluence page, so that we can remind everybody about some upcoming planning. You know, obviously everyone has the December 12th sort of introduction overview to the fire IG development work. And then we will be starting to have regular calls for organizations that are bringing systems to Connect-a-thon. There'll be sort of track preparation, track definition, and lead up before the May and Connect-a-thon, and then there will be a Connect-a-thon again in September in Baltimore. Those would be the two to keep on your radar planning for.
Thanks, Lisa, and thank you, Jennifer, for that question. And Donna, I think I'm going to grab the ball very quickly and show the Confluence page so everyone knows what they're looking at. And Linda, if you wanted to jump on and just clarify about the summary documents versus the master file, that would
Sure.
probably be very helpful.
I can do that while you're switching over.
Okay.
Yeah, as you know, we did send out the individual summary files as we went through each week of our end-to-end review. And we consolidated all the feedback, made all the updates and changes based on the discussions that Sarah and Don have had over the last several meetings. And that is reflected in the master list. But because the master list is so big, especially sections like screening and interventions, we decided we would also create a single summary document. It has individual tabs that look exactly like what you saw during the end-to-end review. But it's just a different way to look at that data for interventions, especially if you're looking at, well, is this intervention present, or what exactly is in the intervention, sorted in different ways. We have several tabs that allow you to look at it more flexibly than trying to go through that master and scrolling through or searching. So as Lynette said, the voting in the consensus voting process is on the master list. The summary is just there as a reference to make it easier for you to locate things if you have questions about what's in any particular section.
Thanks, Linda. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the consensus voting page in the Gravity Project space. You can see up here, you can find it in the page tree underneath the Gravity Project materials. There's a little caret. You can click on that. And like I said, we will be emailing all committed members with a direct link to this page. And it has instructions on what you should do, which are download the master list. And that link is right here. It should download directly. It won't take you to a Google Doc that you subsequently have to click on something else to download. And here are also the summaries. They are all consolidated into one document for you to use for reference. And then you just scroll down here, enter your information. A yes vote is just a yes vote. A yes with comments will open up a field where you can submit your comments. Formal objection also has a comment field that you will need to fill out. Abstain is super simple. It's just a click and then hit submit. And we will track everything. Because I'm logged in, you can see how we track everything. And it's easy peasy. And like I said, we would like for all of you to vote by December 5th, which gives you, I believe, 2.5 weeks. Hopefully that will be enough time for everybody to be able to review the master list. Any questions?
This This is Sarah.
Okay.
Sylvie. I just wanted to
Sarah.
chime in and say something. Hello, everybody. So I think I just want to speak for Donna and I as the food insecurity subject matter folks, how grateful we are for everyone's efforts over the last few months. I was thinking that we needed to pop some champagne yesterday, but apparently we're not ready for that yet until the voting is complete. But if any element of the consensus voting process or the content within seems confusing, please do reach out to us. We definitely are still here trying to assist and make sure everyone's on the same page. We take the consensus process pretty seriously and want to resolve any confusion along the way. Again, just thank you for all of your efforts up until this point. It's been a very profound process for all involved.
Thanks, Sarah. I would like to echo that as well. And Donna, if you don't mind posting the next step slide, we can go ahead and probably wrap up here in just a couple of minutes.
Sorry, Lynette. Julie Dooling is asking to confirm only one vote per organization. So
I believe it's per individual.
Yeah, it's per individual. So we are, unlike an HL 7 ballot that does only accept, I guess, one vote per organization. On our end, we are accepting all votes. So it's not being restricted to just per organization. So we do want all, if possible, all committed members, even if they're part of the same organization. Of course, we look for diversity. We don't want only one particular stakeholder group or one very large organization to vote on this. So we appreciate multiple votes. The other thing, just to piggyback on what Sarah was saying, and again, commend, I think for us is our incredible subject matter experts, the work of both Sarah and Donna and Linda as well, coming together and helping us facilitate and manage and adjudicate. It's been tremendous effort. So I do want to recognize the team for that and all our stakeholders. I know many of you, so we do track these calls and we appreciate that we may have folks joining us today that have not joined us before and are not privy to all the work that's been done to date. So I do want to put in a plug that everything, as Lynette said up front, all our materials are on the Gravity Confluence. We make to achieve consensus is also that we want to be very transparent and open in what we do. So all our meetings are recorded, all our materials are there. You will see that on the landing page. And to acknowledge that, we've had a tremendous end-to-end review process. So if you are just joining us today for the first time, and this is all new to you, but maybe you have signed up as a committed member and said, oh goodness, I'm going to join today to figure out what I need to do. Please do review if you can peruse the slides and the recordings, because that will give you a sense of what was submitted, how did we end up addressing comments received as part of end-to-end, because many things did change. So and then it's just the beauty of this process is because we were able to spend the time and present back to all of you week by week what was identified and adjudicated by data set grouping, I guess, if we say activity, and you all gave us feedback. There were significant changes made. So I do want to encourage the community to take a look at that.
And Evelyn, if I could just share,
Yes.
this is Donna. On behalf of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, we are so honored to be involved in this project and so thankful for all of the expertise that everyone has contributed toward this and helping resolve and hopefully learning more about this issue through these efforts. So thank you all so much. It's been my absolute honor to represent our membership here in this project.
Thanks, Donna. And we have a question from Lucy Johns asking, what is the ultimate outcome of the consensus process? A refresher on that. And suppose there's not consensus, what happens? That's a very good question. Evelyn, should I do this or should you address this?
Well, I know you had, and maybe Lucy missed the beginning of your slides. We need to achieve consensus. our process is, the visual that Lynette showed at the beginning was really to say, if we're not achieving consensus, we have to come back. What are the things, and work with all of you. Any vote that is a no, has to be addressed. So that is part of our process, that we need to review all comments and dispose of every single one of them that has a comment and of course is a no. So our process is geared to be able to address. So hopefully, that's why we do end-to-end review. We spend so much time because we want to make sure that it's not a surprise when we have a published list for voting.
And typically what happens is if any of you do submit a formal objection, we will review those internally, and then we will most likely reach back out to you to discuss the best way to come to some sort of solution or resolution that addresses your concerns. This is not one of those things where we just say, okay, you don't like it, too bad. Because this is a collaborative process, we do internally consider what the options are, or try to come up with as many options as possible, and then we would reach back out to you and say, are any of these acceptable, or do you have any other ideas on how we could make this work more globally? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. I think, Donna, if you can skip forward, it's probably 2 slides. I think we had a question slide in here. These are our next steps. We will ask committed members to submit their consensus votes from now till December 5th. And we will also ask for any of you who are interested in joining the Connect-a-thon events that are coming up to fill out the little form that's on Confluence, or you can email us, either one, gravityproject@emiadvisors.net. And we will circle back to you. Like Lisa said, she is tracking all of those interested parties so that we can stay in contact and keep you updated on specific dates and information that you need on those. Are there any other questions or comments before we adjourn? Like we said, this was going to be a shorty today. Okay, well, if you go away and you decide you have questions about anything, we are more than happy to hear from you. You can email us at gravityproject@emiadvisors.net, and we will get back to you.
Thank you, everyone, and happy voting.
Yes, thank you all.